Good evening, Bahamas, coming up tonight on our news.
Thousands show up to cast their votes at the PLP National Convention. That story straight ahead.
We've got full coverage of night 2 of the PLP's convention. The story coming up.
The Court of Appeal holds a special sitting to mark the opening of their legal year. That story is coming up straight ahead.
2 men are dead after 2 separate shootings overnight. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina McNeil. Topping news tonight, the results are in. Prime Minister Christie emerged as leader of the Progressive Liberal Party once again following a leadership race dogged by claims of an unfair process that placed his only opponent, Alfred Sears, at a serious disadvantage. Party Chairman Bradley Roberts telling our news that Christie crushed Sears 7-1. Sears, who reportedly lost by more than 900 votes, was expected to hold a news conference tonight to address the election results. Jasmine Brown was at the Malia Nassau Beach Resort's packed ballroom today as delegates cast their votes. Jasmine?
That's right, Christina. Officials say thousands of people showed up to vote. However, it was Prime Minister Christie supporters who were the most vocal.
We don't want another leader. One leader. One leader. One leader. One leader.
Christie's supporters' chants of one leader grew louder and louder as they lined up to vote in the PLP election. Supporters like Renford Monroe and Jacqueline Woodside insisted there is no other man who can lead the party.
Nobody better than Barry Gladstone Christie. One leader! 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 That's our leader. That's what we believe in, and that's where we're going. We will win this election. Win this election. Mr. Christie go where he feel like. No one tell him when to go and when to come. Barry Christie. That's who Bill give the party to, and that's who we support. 100%.
Mr. Christie cares. He's the only person who can take us through to the next general election. We don't need to make no changes right up and now. Mr. Christie is the man. We don't want no one else. Christie or nothing. We ain't taking no prisoners this morning. Christie or nothing. Everybody else, that small tell your name call. That's Christie time. Leave him alone. It's our Prime Minister. We don't want nobody else.
The Prime Minister's wife, Bernadette Christie, was also on hand for voting this morning. She was quickly swamped by her husband's supporters.
I'm absolutely elated because I think everybody here within the PLP understands who the real leader is of the PLP. And we're going to go into the next election with one leader. The same leader.
Christie's challenger Alfred Sears was also canvassing the crowd and was surrounded by several of his supporters. They told our news that they support Sears and the change he represents.
That's the man for the job. We need a change in the country. We need a change not from PLP, but leadership. And that's the reason why I'm here, to support a better, different leadership. Change.
He's a humble man. He's a committed man. He's a man with leadership, capabilities, humble and just. That's the kind of man, that's the kind of leader what we need.
Chairman of the National Convention, Shane Gibson, says there were at least 3,000 delegates voting today. Gibson also responded to criticisms by Sears over the fairness of the voting process.
I have never heard about an election yet, whether it's in the union, the government, private sector. No matter where you have election, people always complain about the process. There's no such thing as a perfect process. For me personally, before I decided to get involved in the Progressive Liberal Party, I looked at them in a very comprehensive way in terms of what they had to offer, in terms of the process in dealing with internal matters in the organization, election of officers, and for me personally, I know that nothing has changed.
With the voting over, the party leader will address the crowd during the final night of the PLP's convention. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown. Christina.
Thanks, Jasmine. Well, Progressive Liberal Party Deputy Leader, Deputy Prime Minister Philip Davis went into the nomination process unopposed. His position was one of several that were not challenged at the party's national convention. Davis told reporters he was thankful that the party maintained confidence in him.
I'm exhilarated. I am humbled by the confidence that has been reposed to me by the Progressive Liberal Party, and it is, humbling to have been elected unopposed at this convention.
PLP Chairman Bradley Roberts and Deputy Chairman Senator Alex Storr were also unopposed for those positions. Meanwhile, as the party's first convention in 7 years wraps up, Davis is confident that the PLP's message will get out and secure the government once again.
And we hope that the barrier for our message getting to our people will allow it, will at least rest and allow it to get over to the people.
Is the PLP hoping to win more seats in the next election than they did?
The idea is to win all seats that makes up the constituencies.
As we gear up for the final night of the PLP's convention, our Kyle Joaquin has a look at everything that happened last night. He joins us now from the Malia Nassau Beach Resort. Kyle, what can you tell us?
Well, Christina, night 2 of the PLP's convention seemed going to be like ladies' night as some of the female heavy hitters of the party tried to drive home their major accomplishments over the past 4.5 years. Though it was all about the women of the PLP last night, Foreign Affairs and Immigration Minister Fred Mitchell had tongues wagging after he took opponents like Queen's Counsel Fred Smith and members of Save the Bays to task.
These are the same ones who say they want openness, transparency, and badgering us every week about freedom of information. And yet, the first time something hard is said about them, they run to the courts to silence the newspapers, so the newspapers can't print nothing. And then they want to stop members of parliament from speaking in the House, so they run the court to do that. That's a double standard.
Mitchell issued this warning to his critics.
Wait till this campaign gets started. Boy, they don't know my mouth. I keep telling them that. Fool with me.
He said the Bahamas is as respected today as never before, being ranked on the Transparency Index of Caribbean nations as corruption-free. Health Minister Dr. Perry Gomez touched on the latest with National Health Insurance, and Education Minister Jerome Fitzgerald boasted of the transition of the College of the Bahamas to university status. And despite that Rubus fuel spill controversy, Fitzgerald said he's looking forward to another 5 years.
I've seen you during my weekly meetings, at my branch, my monthly meetings, and our annual Thanksgiving. Are you ready for another 5 years marathon? Are you ready for another 5 years? God bless you, PLP!
Meantime, Transport and Aviation Minister Gladys Hannah Martin shared the successes of her ministry and the PLP government, including the recent transformation at the Department of Road Traffic.
Taking this department, one of the largest revenue generators with an extremely high volume of customers, from a virtually manual system after all these years into a state-of-the-art, fully automated vehicular and driver's licensing system.
However, the minister also used the opportunity to hit out at members of the media.
We are on a committed course on behalf of the Bahamian people. The opinions of jaded editors, or I use the word slimy tactics of operatives, is non-consequential, even though the extreme lengths some will go to are so ridiculous as to be laughable.
Now again, any minute now, Prime Minister Perry Christie is expected to give his victory speech. We will have live coverage for you right here on RTV beginning at 8 p.m. Reporting from the PLP convention for our news, I'm Kyle Joaquin. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Kyle. And coverage of the final night of the PLP's 52nd convention begins at 8 p.m. right here on RTV. Well, nurses at several government clinics across the country called in sick today in what union leaders labeled a long-standing industrial plan of action to force a meeting with the Prime Minister. This action impacted service at those public health care facilities, prompting patients to call local radio talk shows to complain. Trade Union Congress President Obie Ferguson says government has failed to address a number of issues outlined by the Bahamas Nurses Union.
But I can tell you today, all the clinics throughout the islands and Nassau is closed as I speak. And that shows you that somebody doesn't know what they're talking about. We never call a demonstration downtown.
Ferguson says today's sick out is just the beginning of action to get government's attention.
If the nurses are sitting in and people go there with their sick children, right, knowing the nurses, they're going to take care of them. And I would encourage them to do that too. So to say nothing happened because you see people on the street, that's not correct.
Meanwhile, Minister of Labor and National Insurance Shane Gibson confirming today that he has received a signed letter from customs officers who claim they have lost confidence in the leadership of the Bahamas Customs Immigration and Allied Workers Union. The letter, which contains 20 signatures, stated, quote, "The bargaining unit has lost confidence in the leadership of President Sloan T. Smith and the entire executive board and no longer wish for them to negotiate on their behalf," end quote.
And so the custom officers are saying, listen here, we understand that we have a position on the table now. We understand it will bring us some benefits. We understand that the government want to be consistent with negotiating with all trade unions in the country.
Members of the Customs and Immigration Union have been at odds over an outstanding industrial agreement. Gibson says now that this letter has been sent, he will recommend the government take action.
Normally, when you have an industrial agreement in place and you have a bargaining agent, you can't negotiate directly with the employees, except there is no industrial agreement in place. This is their first industrial agreement. And so the fact that they don't have an industrial agreement in place, it means that we are minded now to just oblige the members of the union who say the customs executives, the union executives, they're taking too long to conclude this, and we want to be paid. And so I'm going to be recommending to my colleagues that we just pay everybody, and if the unionists want to continue to filibuster and get involved in politics and try have demonstrations in the middle of our convention, then they can go ahead and do that. But we cannot allow the customs officers who want to be paid right now to be denied that payment simply because the union refused to conclude industrial agreement.
TUC President O.B. Ferguson called the petition signed by some union members insignificant, asserting they won't be able to get rid of Sloan Smith that easily.
If they're talking about Sloan Smith, he would be there until his term is up, and if he offers himself and the members vote for him, that'll be it. But there's no law that permits the minister or the director or anybody else to sign petitions, say they want the president to be removed because he's not in agreement with what he wants to do. That's not going to happen. The minister knows better. The director knows better.
Ferguson also hit back at critics who called the national sit-down organized by the TUC and We March Bahamas a flop.
We have some plan for tomorrow. We have some plan for Saturday. We have some plan for Sunday. And we have something planned for Monday. I mean, that's what we do. So I am somewhat disappointed that they would try to give the public the impression that we called a demonstration and the demonstration was a flop. We never did that. If that's the case, at least I would have had all of the officers. We got 20-something unions. I'd had all of them down there.
Still to come on our news, the opening of the Court of Appeals legal year, and it was a busy night for police with 2 overnight shootings. That's coming up when our news returns.